Welcome to the Thrive podcast with the Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church.
How does your faith kind of play into it, or does it play into it?
What can be done about it? When I say the church, I'm talking about evangelical white Christians and the black folk who attend their churches.
Hello, welcome to the Thrive podcast with the Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. I'm Fred Jeff Smith, pastor of Shiloh, and I'm very happy that you chose to either view this on Vimeo, Facebook, or YouTube, or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Prime. As always, we invite your input and your opinions. You can reach out to me at fredjeffsmith@gmail.com, fredjeffsmith@gmail.com, and you can let me know how we can make the podcast better for you. I'm very happy today to welcome to the Thrive podcast, I believe for the second, maybe the third time that
I know
you have been
I know
here.
at least the second. Might be a third.
Might be the
See,
third.
The problem is that
Tony King. I just wanted to get the name out first.
Yeah.
Now, go right on.
Because the problem is that when we see each other, we talk too much.
We
and
talk
I don't want
a
to say
lot.
talk too much. We talk a lot. There's
Yes.
a lot we get off.
Yes.
A lot of ideas, and very rarely do you have a chance to really sit down and learn and share ideas and be sharpened with someone who is both well-read, well-studied, knowledgeable about current events, past events, and so it's when you share that type of energy, it's always you'd be like, hey, I enjoy it. So yeah, we've already had the podcast. A lot of people,
We already have.
We've already had the podcast.
You will never see it. Mr. King is host of Politicking with Tony King, which is a production of Mad Game Entertainment, and he is the president of the Baton Rouge Area Association of Black Journalists. Yeah. Tony, welcome to the Thrive podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So you did you were the moderator for the mayoral
the first
debate that we had.
the first one,
the real one. Yes. You were the moderator for that.
Yes.
Stepping outside of your moderator role,
okay,
but just as an observer of the process, what did you think about the forum on the whole? Not your job in it.
No.
But
just
your thoughts about it.
just the candidates that we had, and how they operated. First, let me say I'm grateful for the opportunity. Both Prophetic Voices, Mad Game production. Producing it. I should say Mad Game Entertainment. And the thing that I noticed most is body language.
Mm-hmm.
And also the actions of how everyone responded to the different questions. If I had to say, and I hate to say this, I believe that everyone had their opportunity to answer questions that may not have been flattering to them.
Mm-hmm.
The second question that I asked was to Coach Sid, about him not being involved in the political process for so long.
Correct.
Why should anyone, consider you and be involved in the process when you yourself have not done it? The second question that I asked to Ted James about, his past support of Mayor Broome and how that may be seen, especially with her being the first black female mayor of Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had their chance to answer, some serious tough questions. I asked about the city manager position to Mayor Broome, and some of her past comments about what may be thought, or even the deal with the River Center and the new construction and the 30-year non-compete.
Right.
And the first thing that I noticed about everybody is body language. I didn't really, to me, it kind of seemed, and Coach Sid, great guy, had a chance to meet him there for the first time. That was my first interaction with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, those that I know who know him say he's a great guy. I felt some of that as well. He's a really genuine person. I believe he has a heart to serve, and he's committed to the mission of influencing the lives of the young men that he deals with, coaching, and as also Dean of Estruma, Dean of Discipline at Estruma. He seemed very laid back, almost like, hey, I'm just kind of cool to be here, you know. Ted, James seemed fairly poised and almost kind of assertive, probably more assertive than the rest of the candidates. And the thing that I probably noticed most from Mayor Broome in our debate was she seemed to get a little frustrated, and not necessarily at the questions, but at the comments made by Mr. James towards her and her administration, which understandable. Again, they have a political history. He's worked on a campaign, he's endorsed her and things like that. So I can understand how it can seem like, hey, you were a friend and now you coming at me. You know what this is. And so I don't know all of the things that maybe as colleagues, as people who have worked together in the past politically, what they may have shared with each other. But those were the biggest things that I noticed were it was the body language, And so I even shared with some who knew, like, hey, man, you might want to kind of work on the body language thing. It's kind of showing. And I think some of the people who watched, that was one of the things that they mentioned as well, was more so the body language. So, but overall, I think they, I'm grateful at the way that they presented themselves. It was, again, not only just the first debate, it was in my opinion. Now I'm not being biased though. I'm not. To me, it was the best debate.
Well, I think it was the best debate of what I have been exposed to.
Yeah.
I have not as yet had a chance to really look at the most recent debate. I plan to do that very shortly. But from all indications, it seems like our debate was the most substantive of those that have taken
and the
place
best produced
thus far.
Don't let the echo of the most current debate throw you off. You got to stay tuned. Don't let the echo throw you off now.
I understand. and I appreciate that. You have a perspective that I don't have, can't have, by virtue of the seat that I sit in. People will say things differently to me than they say to you. So as the man on the street with a different perspective and perhaps having the ear of a different section of the city than I do, what's your assessment of what's going to happen in November?
Predictions. I don't know necessarily about the final prediction, but from what I hear, things are split straight down the middle, and it's culturally. Not culturally. It's an age thing. A age demo. I think the older, and I don't mean this in an ageist way, but just in terms of a demographic way. I'd say 45, like mid 45 and up, half of the 45-year-olds and up and older are leaning towards Sharon. I believe that half of the 45-year-olds and younger are leaning towards Ted in terms of energy. I know what the polling says. And that can never be discounted because you do have sections of the population who see a representative in Coach Sid and some of the others. I don't want to leave any of the others out. But I do think it will come to a runoff, and I think you'll see the city split politically in ways that we've never seen before. And if it goes to those two that I believe, and personally, I do believe that it will be our current mayor president, Mayor Broome and Ted in the runoff. And if it does come to that, I'm uncertain how that may turn out. Was that politically correct enough for you?
You split enough hairs. Beyond the mayor's race, there are several Metro Council seats that are up. Are you? Have you been paying attention to what's been going on in the Metro Council races?
Some. I'm particularly
What are your impressions?
interested in District 2 because they have a ton of
Drama.
candidate. Yeah,
That's what they have right now. Drama.
to say the least.
Yeah.
District 2 is an interesting one. Outside of that, I don't really see a real competitive Metro Council seat. One thing I find interesting is that most of the black folks are the ones who are eating each other up. You know, the seats that are carried by black representatives. I don't really see much of the white Metro Council members in any races. They're running unopposed.
And what do you take from that,
That
if anything?
we eat each other. We don't know how to. That's what I initially take from it. Is that we are willing to eat each other up. And I think that the real fight should not be amongst each other for Metro Council seats. I think the real fight should be for a more accurate representation on the Metro Council that fully represents the parish. And I don't think we fully represent the parish right now. Oh, another race, District 2 and District 5. District 2 and District 5 are interesting to me. District 5 is with incumbent Daryl Hurst, and he's running against two opponents. I believe that one is pretty interesting because one candidate that stands out is Marcus Randall, former national champion with LSU and SB winner. And what I've been shocked about with him is that he just recently picked up a union that is supporting him, and I've seen him really campaigning more than I initially anticipated that he would. And it seems like he's really taking it seriously. I would be interested to see how that really translate into votes. Because we all know signs don't vote.
Right.
Going to meetings and endorsements don't vote.
Right.
People in the polling booths vote. And I want to see if that really translates out. But yeah, 2 and 5 are the biggest ones that stand out to me. But yeah, I think the biggest fight is not necessarily with us seeking to get on the Metro Council. I think the biggest fight is to get a more even Metro Council that's more indicative of what our racial and demographic population is.
It's not going to happen this time around, and I blame the failure to properly redistrict the parish.
Yeah.
However it turns out, it's still going to be a 7-5 Metro Council in favor of Republican, conservative, white. All the council members who are white are also conservative, are also Republican. And so I think that the fix was already in. Boy, I'm using a Donald Trump word. But it had already been set up in such a way because the redistricting failed to produce a more fair map. And that for me is troubling. That in a parish that is majority black, in a city that is overwhelmingly black, you're still going to have a 7-5 split in the Metro Council. In the way in which it is. And so, in my opinion, something needs to be done. I know most of the redistricting stuff is done unless they take it to court. If they take it to court, the Supreme Court is not going to mess with it.
Right.
So it just seems to me that now is the time for people to start preparing for the next census and the next redistricting opportunity that we have to bring about more
10
fair.
years.
It is 10 years.
Well, 6
and it's
now,
unfortunate.
but yeah,
It's very unfortunate that that's the way it's going to be. It's that way in the legislature, state legislature. It's that way in the Metro Council. It's that way with the school board. And I don't know exactly what it is that the courts are looking at that allow them to make the decisions that they have made.
Well, again, when you talk about the way things are, the appointments in those courts, and how it turns out, of course, I'm going to look at it from my perspective. And I understand they rule based on the law, but that law is also open to interpretation, and your interpretation is based on your perspective. And so I can see why it's still perpetuated and will continue. And I think that because of the 7-5 Metro Council that we have, it makes it difficult for whoever is has the seat of mayor president. And I think that we had a conversation recently on politicking where one of the panel guests was making mention of that, and just as a pushback, I was like, wait, the Metro Council is 7-5. The mayor can't just come in with a stroke of a pen and just make things happen. That's not how government works. Right. And so I think some of the issues that we have should be geared to that versus who the face or the CEO of the city is, And so I keep saying the CEO of the city, but yeah, I think that a lot of our issues are really based in that, and that's one thing that kind of bothers me, is that in this year, it's a major political year. We have a major national election, local election. We are sending representatives to D.C. on our behalf, but this time of year or season always reminds me just how little people know about politics. And I'm not saying that they have to understand earmarks and how things like that work, but I'm talking about the simple basics of what your representation is. And I think that's hopefully what one of our goals is with politicking is to, laugh while we learn. But yeah, that's one thing that's really disappointing, is that even when it comes to president, like you have Vice President Harris and you have J.D. Vance playing on people's ignorance, saying, why can't she just do what the American people elected her to do? Right. Well, the American people elected her to break ties in the Senate. Right. That's what they elected her to, certify the election.
Vice presidents have very little power.
Very little.
Yes.
And so, she presides over the Senate. That's what they elected her to do.
And she goes and makes speeches.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about policy and things like that. She can't do that. That's not her agenda.
If you were to ask someone what the role is of the lieutenant governor of the state of Louisiana, they couldn't tell you.
I can tell you.
I know you can, but I mean, John Q. Public could not tell you what the lieutenant governor actually controls, and he controls tourism. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nothing else. He has nothing else to do. He can sit up and read the newspaper all day long. That's right.
He can go for a jog. He can ride his bike. Oh, he gets good tickets to LSU games.
Yes.
Real good tickets.
Unless and until something happens to the governor, and while I don't like Governor Landry, I certainly don't want anything to happen to Governor Landry. Unless and until that happens, he has no real authority over the state. Civics needs to be put back in public school classrooms. So I don't think that people teach civics anymore. When I was in school, it was called You and the Law. They try to come up with a different name for it, but it's basic civics. People don't understand how things happen. Hell, go watch School Rock. And I'm just a bill, and I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. They need to understand.
Now it's a long journey
That's
to
right.
the capital city.
we have to teach people, because they say ignorant things, and because social media is the way that it is, that anybody can say anything and have a worldwide audience for what they say. They don't know that money that is appropriated from one department of the government can't just be unilaterally moved to another part of the government. It takes a process. It has to go through the Congress. Executive orders only have so much power. Barack Obama tried to do everything through executive power, and the United States Senate said, no, you can't do that. People need to understand basic civics.
So I have a theory about that. I do believe that schools are still teaching civics. I just believe that most people are in the back playing pencil break or not paying attention. And the reason I say that is because, again, thanks to Prophetic Voices, Mad Game, producing this amazing debate, we had the District 2 U.S. Congress seat debate. And we had a couple candidates out, 6 candidates. And I remember I asked a question. There were 2 questions that stood out. One was, how many members are in the House of Representatives? Simple question. I actually thought it was too simple. And the reason I was asking is because it's important for the people that we send to know this information so they can know how many people they have to deal with, how they break things down, how we don't send you there to learn. You should already know before you get there. And I can't believe that the candidate that I asked this question to initially said, brother, I ain't even gonna act like I know that answer. Now, the interesting thing about that is when I was going over the questions, I was going over with a friend, and her son, who was in 4th grade at the time, walked by and said, that's easy, 435. I was like, man, the question is too easy. I remember like, oh, we got to find another question. It's way too easy. This 4th grader knows it.
Yeah.
Then another thing was that same line of questioning, because this one was just about simple governance. You know, I said, what makes a simple majority in the House? And this particular candidate had no clue. He was actually trying to divide it right there.
Yeah.
He was like, if you carry the one, oh, you gotta. And he's doing like this, and I can see him borrowing. Bro, you ain't even using the right. You're not even using the right order of operation here.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I believe that they teach it. I just believe that they are not going to take any extra effort to make sure that you know it. And the thing is that we are so ill-informed, and we're cool with ignorance. And we, you know, we want to be angry about something to where we don't really sit back and learn the rules of the game. One thing that I've been sharing lately, and one thing that I've kind of been on just in this season of my life, is knowing the rules to the game and playing it, because it's working for somebody. You know, we always hear, oh man, in this economy, and this economy is bad for who? For who? Like Bezos making it. These people are making it. Drive down Nicholson past Bluebonnet, and you look to your left, and you see them $700,000 homes. Somebody is buying it.
Sure.
Go over to Long Farm.
Sure.
Somebody is paying $800,000, $900,000 for a home. Right over there.
That only costs $120,000 to build.
Well, I think it costs less than that. But the point of
And
it
they're right
is,
on top of each other.
and no yard.
I can change their channel with my remote.
Oh, you can cut the grass with
the-
scissors.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you don't even need a lawnmower.
Yeah.
But the point is that somebody's buying it.
Yeah.
The economy is working for them.
Yeah.
But you know, and I don't want to get too far off, but the thing is that because of our ignorance, we don't learn how to play the game. And because we don't learn how to play the game, we never reap any of the rewards of the game. You may not win the game totally, but you got to participate to even get any access to what is out there. Like, it used to be a saying. It's like lotto. You got to be in it to win it. And so a lot of people just do not even participate in the game. They sit on the sideline. They don't understand what the state house does. Or they don't understand how money is allocated to the school board, or how money is allocated through the school board to various schools. And when you don't show up, or even just, I'm not saying you got to go to every meeting, but pick up a paper. What does this say?
Here's my frustration about going to the meetings, because I've had people sit there and say, you need to come to the meetings.
No, they take too
You need to
long.
sit to the meetings. I've gone to the meetings, and they are entirely, thoroughly frustrating
Yes.
to me. When we were talking about redistricting a little while ago, I went to school board meetings to talk about redistricting, and when it came time to vote, they sat in their seats, and the public had their opportunity to talk. Public talked for 2.5, 3 hours. I got up. Some other people got up and talked.
And they let anybody get up.
They just let
they
anybody
let
get up and
anybody.
talk.
Just fill that card out, you gonna get up.
They sat there and drank coffee. They talked with one another. And when it came time for them to act,
They
there
did
was a
not.
motion and a second and a vote. And the meeting is over.
Yeah.
They listened to no one. I went through the same experience with the Metro Council. We
Yeah.
stood in line, and each one of us took our turn to get up, and we all had our 3 minutes to talk, and this went on for an hour and a half, 2 hours. When it came time to vote, it was like nobody had said anything at all, and they just did what they wanted to do. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have a right to vote. They were put in the seat to vote. But the idea that if you just go to the meeting, that you can make a difference.
Yeah.
To me, there is an idealism in that and an optimism in that I don't see translated into reality. These people come in with their minds already made up.
Yep.
And the only thing I see that changes their minds is money.
Yep. 100%. That 1,000,000%. Now, I've watched school board meetings. Better than drama. Like it's better than any show you are streaming on any platform. Especially when we were looking to fill the superintendent seat.
Yeah.
Like it was good. And it lasted all through the night. I tapped out about 11 o'clock. I remember waking up to go use the bathroom at 1:30. I'm like, they still in the meeting?
Yeah.
It was crazy. But I believe you're right. It's money. And unfortunately, a lot of everyday average voters in their pocketbooks just can't write a check to stroke, to somebody's campaign.
Right.
But what you can do is you all can't. There's nothing stopping anybody from creating a PAC. There's nothing. You can go out and if you have. The thing about government is that it takes work. And because we spend so much time on our jobs, our kids, just regular life, it makes it difficult for us to really kind of garner that support to go and, to do the work in order to show, hey, here are 1,500 people in your district who all say, we're tired and fed up with this. This is how we want you to act. These 1,500 people are all committed right now to give $100. You do that? Oh, yeah. Okay, now talk to me a little bit. Yeah. But that's hard to do. And because it's so hard, people are like, man, I'm just tired. Y'all just going, I'm going to sit out. They take, I see why Coach Sid said what he said about voting. I'm tired of all the excess, all the extra stuff. I didn't say it. He said it.
He said it.
And so.
But he sure wants you to go to the polls for him. I
do as I say.
Yeah, I heard that before too.
Yeah.
When it comes to national politics, we're not voting for either one of our senators this time around, but we are voting for our representatives. For the first time in several years, there's going to be a second black congressman in our state. We have the potential for a third, although I don't think the gentleman is going to unseat Mrs. Littler. But I think that you have an opportunity for a third. With the redistricting concerns that I still have, third time I'm bringing it up, I question whether or not this newly formed seat will exist beyond this term. The Supreme Court did not say to Louisiana that this must be. The Supreme Court said it's too close to the election for us
to do anything
deal
about
with it now.
Yeah. But
they leave open the door to deal with it post-election. Yeah. Do you have any insights or thoughts about what might happen?
I have a ton of thoughts. I can't necessarily say I have insight. I have what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's not going to last. I've heard that way too many times from people who are way more important than me. Because that's the first question that I ask. Because one thing that stands out to me is that Congressman Graves, who has served the 6th District for, I believe, 8-10 years, something like that, in Washington, he didn't attempt. And from my interaction with him, he is pretty popular on both sides. I have, matter of fact, he's going to be a guest on Politicking in 2 weeks. I just had to throw that out there.
Right.
But the thing is that I find it interesting because he's still very active in terms of how he's maneuvering amongst the public. Most people, if their term is up, like they walking through the finish line. He's running through. He's sprinting through the finish line. He's touting everything that he's done. He's talking about how he has a 95% congressional effectiveness rating. He's talking about the things that he's done in East Baton Rouge in terms of, getting the $980 some odd million for the Comey diversion plan. He's talking about how he's helped Baker with $25 million for the new school, how he helped Central and got them $5 million. Like, he's out here like, hey, I worked for you. My question is, if you're going home or if you're just going to be a political consultant, why are you telling us about what you did? Most political consultants just go and just make their money.
Right.
You don't have to continue,
They join a lobbying group and yeah.
And they eat good, he's working.
Right.
And I'm saying that because I had a chance to speak with him. I went to the Central Chamber of Commerce meeting, which I'm gonna say right now. Anybody who has a business, the cheat code is your local Chamber of Commerce. That is a cheat code. I am anybody who is this my camera? Anybody who has if you have a business, join your local Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. Thank me later. Mm-hmm. That was free game. That's right there. I just put you on free game right there.
When are you having Mr. Graves on?
The 23rd.
Before the election?
It is before the election.
Okay. Ask him this question. Uh-huh. Why is he still supporting Donald Trump?
So...
No, I'm not asking you to answer it.
No.
I want you to ask him. Why is he still so... Oh, no. Yeah. He was asked, and he would not endorse Vice President Harris. He's still supporting Donald Trump. Ask him who won the election in 2020.
Oh, man, you're going to try and make it that he never come back.
I want them all to stop lying.
Yeah.
I want Scalise to stop lying. Mm-hmm. I want the Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, to stop lying. Clay Higgins is an asshole, and I don't expect anything more.
Yeah. That's par for the course. That's par for the course. Yeah.
Mrs. Letlow, ask her why she's still supporting Donald Trump. She seems like a nice enough woman. I don't have anything against. I don't know a whole lot about her. Yeah. She seems like a nice enough lady. Ask her why she's still supporting a 34-time convicted, 4-time indicted, twice impeached sexual molester who fell just one step short of being charged with criminal rape. Ask her why she's still supporting Donald Trump.
We know
she won't be on your show, but Mr. Graves will be.
We know
I'm
the
just
answer.
Curious as to why.
Yeah, we know the answer. I didn't know he was still supporting him, and the reason that I say that is because when I heard him speak, and again, I'm not chesting up for him, but when I heard him speak, what he was speaking about, and think about where we are. We're in Central. Mm-hmm. What he was speaking about was getting away from the R&D and making sure that your candidates are working for you.
Do you know why he wants to get away from the R&D?
Why?
Because Jeff Landry picked him as being the guy that we're going to throw out. Remember, the whole redistricting map is Jeff Landry's play.
Yeah.
And Jeff Landry decided with some others, and I don't know whether he was the primary voice or whether he was the one who was being talked to, but they decided that Julia Letlow was going to stay and Garrett Graves,
a first-term congressperson,
was going to go. Yes.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden we might need to relook at the Republican convention and the way that it's run in this state. But I would love to be proven wrong. Put him on the record as saying, I am not supporting Donald Trump for president of the United States.
Now, let me ask this question, because you brought up you brought up something that I've heard a lot of noise about. You talked about the deal that was made.
Yes.
About the districts.
Yes.
I'm hearing that it was not all Republicans and not all.
It's never all been Republicans, and I have said that ever since we talked about redistricting. Mm-hmm. It was not all Republicans. We being black Democrats, have been complicit in this whole process because somebody believes that they need an 80% black district in order to win. Mm-hmm. If you can't win your seat with 60% of the black vote in your district, then perhaps you don't need to be in the seat.
Well, I think
white folk want to keep their districts the way they are so that they don't have to listen to the black folk that are in their district.
Yeah. Well, I think a person will have a better chance of being able to win at least 60% of their district win their district if 60% of the voters are black, if they actually lived in the district. I think it'd be really easy then.
Well,
they would see you, they would, you wouldn't just come when it's.
Apparently, when it comes to national politics, and I didn't know this until
A lot of people don't live in their
Graves
districts.
got pushed aside.
Mm-hmm.
The word was that Graves could have run for a district that he does not reside in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the state legislature, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to reside.
Yes.
In the district where you.
But they let it
where you
let
serve.
it slide with the homesteads.
Well, this whole wiggle room that they give between domicile and residence is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Talk about the city plan of government. We're going to look at changing residency requirements. Not until you close that door.
Well,
where a guy can buy a shack,
yes,
and it's in the district, and he only pays $10,000 for it, but he registers that as his domicile.
And when you go
while
by there,
he's residing in a $600,000 house in a completely different district, then until that door is closed, nothing that they do is going to make any sense.
And what's crazy about it is when you go to that shack, it's a shack of squalor.
Yeah.
Like, who would be caught in a place of squalor?
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing in there. I mean, it takes a different type of person.
Yeah.
You know, and so that to me, that's one of the things that really bothers me because again, I have this ideological, view of America. I got all the propaganda. Like when I was younger, I used to watch Family Ties, all that, all the good white shows I used to watch. Just dreaming about a life that was better than mine. Silver spoons, all that, right? Now I know I'm dating myself. But the funny thing about it is that I was raised that or taught that, hey, this is your representative, and they go to Congress on your behalf, and they represent all the people that live around him, and this is how it's supposed to be. And so that's what I believe that it should be. I get really upset at politicians who are on record living somewhere else. I mean, being sued by their neighbors who live in a complete, man, go win that district.
Yeah.
We need a black person, to go win that district.
Yes.
Don't take something from people who actually live here. They know nothing about you.
Yes.
And you're stealing government money.
Yes.
And you're not, and the reason I say you're stealing it is because you're not representing those people. Because you don't live there. You don't represent them. You do not, you have a seat, but you do not represent them. You represent yourself. And that's a problem that I have. I think that there's way too much self-centeredness in politics. Way too much, about meism, how it benefits me. They're the ones who, their friends are the ones who are getting the first dibs at the homes that the parish are selling. And I know of situations where they've sold things for $1. And somebody now has free real estate essentially.
Yeah.
And it's they people, they get they get they kickbacks. I ain't gonna say it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, come at me. I'm with it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that to me, that's not what government is supposed to be. And I'm talking about it from a local level because that's what affects our lives more than anything. Is all politics is local.
I think so too.
And so, you think about the two things the three things that are really influencing our daily life: school board, metro council, state legislature. Two of those three we don't even participate in. When we talk about the government, the governor's election, did we even have 30% that showed up? 40%? 25%?
25%.
That's lower than the lowest of what we've had. And I don't want to hear no business about Southern University.
Even Governor Landry was shocked
that it was so low.
That he won going away.
Yeah.
He assumed that there was going to be a runoff.
At the very least.
Now, he thought that he would win the runoff, but he thought that there would at least be a runoff. There was not even a runoff.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And so, again, we talk about these deals. The things that I've heard about these deals are, I'm going to say this, but, in reality, I'm really rocking with you. Don't worry about it. I got you. I'm going to make sure you straight. You make sure I'm straight. And those that understand what I'm saying, know. But that's what I hear is that, the deals were made. And you saw in the level of production or the lack of production in terms of getting votes out as to what the cost of it was, from what I hear. Not saying it's true, just saying it's from what I hear.
Local politics.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that concerns me, well, there are two things that concern me. This whole talk about a city manager.
Yes.
Every day on my social media, I start with no apartheid in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this city manager idea really is. The most recent Staying in Prayer segment that I did was talking about this plan of government shift. They have several items in there that, in my opinion, don't rise to the level of having to change the plan of government.
Yeah.
But I think that that's all designed to conceal what the real issue is. And the real issue has to do with a city manager. They want to tie the hands of the mayor president, regardless of who the mayor president is.
They are making sure that, regardless of anything, because a lot of people believe that there will never be another white mayor of.
Not for a while.
Not for a while.
Not for a while.
And
I never say never.
Yeah.
But
But I believe that the city manager position is a way for them to still get a person in there to operate like a mayor.
Yes.
Or as an overseer of them. Not even an overseer. It's, for those that don't know, the city manager position essentially would undercut the majority of the power
It
that they
shifts all of the day by day responsibilities
of the mayor
to a non-elected individual that has to be approved by the Metro Council. I don't have a problem with the city manager that the mayor picks, regardless of who the mayor is.
Yeah.
To me, that's their responsibility.
Yeah.
If they want to hire someone and say, you're responsible for A, B, and C, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I do have a problem with the Metro Council.
The 7-5 Metro Council.
The 7-5 Metro Council telling the mayor, this is the person that you have to use in order to run the day-to-day affairs
regardless
of the city.
of your working relationship or how you may mesh professionally with this person. Here you go.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah.
Like it. Deal with it. And they always have someone that had, essentially that city manager would have more, like you said, day-to-day authority than what the person we elected as.
Right.
And to me, that's very dangerous. That's
Right.
you wouldn't do that anywhere else.
Right.
We don't have a national manager. There's nobody overseeing what President Biden is doing or what Donald Trump was doing, But essentially they are doing that here. Why? What other cities have city managers?
They say that plenty of them do. I haven't looked at other cities.
Frankly,
I don't care because we do everything the way that we want it done. The only time we start looking at other places is to validate what we want to do.
See, they doing it.
Everything else is, well, we're different. We're unique. We have a unique culture. We have a unique understanding.
Yeah.
But when we want to do something different, then we say, well, you see, Austin is doing it, or Oakland, California is doing it, or New York City is doing it. I don't really care what they're doing. We have a mayor president. We already have an interesting system where the residents of Zachary, Baker, Central, and now St. George can vote for my mayor, but I can't vote for either of them. And they all have their own.
Yes.
They have their own mayors, they have their own city councils, they have their own everything.
Yeah.
Except police forces, because they're supposed to have those, but most of them don't. Central still doesn't have a police force. The sheriff is doing the Central Police Department's work, and the sheriff is supposed to be doing the St. George.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that you got a guy named Chief of Police, but you don't have a police department. Don't have one cop car.
Really?
Don't have one deputy. You have not one police officer in St. George, but you got a chief of police.
Well, I know that one, but I'm talking about the central one, and that is
for years before Sheriff Gautreaux. I believe it was not Amos, the one between Amos and Gautreaux. He agreed that the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office would serve as the law enforcement entity in Central. And to my knowledge, it has not changed.
You about to make me speed through Central. I'm going to test it.
Baker has one.
Baker has one.
Zachary has one. And they get to vote for my... So our system is already unique.
Yeah.
But to say that we're going to elect someone mayor president, but not give the mayor president the authority to run the city as the mayor president deems fit, unless they hire someone that has been given approval by the Metro Council, it's all designed to dilute the strength of the mayor. Now, their comeback is, well, the mayor can fire this person at any time. Okay.
And you hire another one.
And then they hire another. That has to be subject to the, you go through the whole thing all over.
Yeah.
Again, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well...
And one of the funny things is, even white folk don't like it.
So, do you believe that measure will pass?
I hope not. I don't know.
I
hope not.
I believe that based upon I've seen some very powerful figures, political figures that have stated that they are not in favor of it, and they're encouraging people who follow them to not be in favor of it as well. To me, it's not necessarily whether people are in favor of it or not as to why if it'll get passed. To me, it's more about the language of how it is going to be on the ballot.
Well, that's what Rowdy Goday said. He said, I'm not really comfortable with how it's being presented. Okay, then take it down, fix the language, and then bring it back.
But they don't want to do that, though.
You've got 8 or 9 different measures all bundled into one. If you're really not comfortable with it, break out the 8 or 9 different measures and let us vote up or down on all of them. They're trying to bundle everything, and then they're going to sneak this thing in with the rest of the bundle.
Yeah. That was actually one thing that was said in the Steve Myers, one of the candidates, that was one of the things that he said at the most recent debate. Where he said, hey, I'm in favor of one thing, but I may not be in favor of it all. Can we take this out and do this? And so he actually made that suggestion, which I think is good. But that's like saying, hey, do you want pizza? And can the pizza be from here? And if we get the pizza from here, it has to be like this, and it has to be this crust, and we have to have this amount. Like, I may want pizza, but I may not want it from there.
Right. And
I may want that as the topping, but I may not want this type of crust. Like, there are things. Nothing is so binary and holistic like that. To where we have to necessarily put it all together. But my question is, what is the rush for them to put it all together? I think I know what that rush is.
What do you think it is?
St. George want that tax money.
Yes.
That's what I solely 1,000,000% believe it's all about, getting St. George the tax money.
St. George says that they're not in a rush to form an independent school district. One of the biggest lies ever told.
How?
Because the whole purpose of the formation of the city was to form an independent school district. St. George, the incorporators and now the leadership of the city say that it's going to be a process and it's going to have to be down the line. The only reason why it's going to take a process is because the current mayor president is fighting tooth and nail in order to get them to be accountable for the things that they have said.
Yeah.
We can afford to do this. Well, okay, if you can afford it, please show it to me on paper.
Which they have to do because she is the president of the parish.
Yes, and they have not done.
So here's the question that I have. Okay, you talk about the independent school district. Where are they getting the schools from? Or are they going to pay? The East Baton Rouge Parish School System?
They ought to pay for it.
I think they should. They're using the facilities.
I've been divorced. I know what happens when
when
you get divorced. When you get divorced, you leave, but you pay.
Oh, you pay
for leaving.
Oh,
anything you take with you.
Oh, you pay.
You pay for it.
Oh, you pay.
They want to be divorced, and I have said for a couple of years now, I believe I knew St. George was going to happen. The powers that be were going to make sure that it happened. My only point is make them pay for it.
Now,
they did not make Baker pay when they formed an independent school district. They just gave them the schools. They did not make Zachary pay. They did not make Central pay. They just ceded the schools to them. And I say enough is enough. You want to form your own school district, that's fine. You want those school buildings, that's fine. You owe us money for it.
So
you owe us money for the legacy costs. You owe us money for the retirement services. You owe us money for the infrastructure.
Yeah.
You owe the parish money. And I should not have to pay for your decision to separate from the rest of the parish.
Another thing that makes it kind of murky is, and I know you're not a big fan of charter schools, but charter schools, you have the charter for the school system. If St. George is a new city, what happens to the charter schools that are, because they have one major charter school that is in St. George, and that is Basis Matera. That is also a high school, a middle school as well. What happens to those students? What happens to that school? Because the charter says that you have to live within that school system. So if they are no longer a part of that school system, they are no longer allowed to go to that school.
So somebody's going to have to be moved.
So
some people are going to have to be displaced.
Some people are going to have to be displaced because the charters are basically set up saying your school system is not up to this caliber. We're here to provide an option for them so that they can receive, a better education.
And by the way, can you show me where charters in East Baton Rouge Parish produce better students than regular public schools?
Well, I might be able to do that if the charters lasted longer than 5 years.
Yeah. Well, it's a money thing.
I don't
not
think,
an education thing.
I don't recall.
Funny thing, schools are not about education; they're about profits.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think that there only one that I know of offhand, maybe two.
There is no data that I have seen that show me where East Baton Rouge Parish charters that reside in East Baton Rouge Parish are doing a better job educating their students than regular schools. I can't say what happens in different parts of the country, but there is nothing that I have seen that shows me that if you are a charter school student, that your school grades better, scores higher than regular public schools in East Baton Rouge Parish.
I have a thought about schools and performance, and that is, and it's totally anecdotal. And I've been involved with my son's school as well as, I am now, my term is over, but I was the parent president. The year before that, I was the vice president. And the theory that I have is until you get a better parent, you won't get a better student. And by better parent, I believe it was it Jawanza Kunjufu who said that in order for a student to perform, there has to be a parent to wake them up, get them dressed, feed them breakfast, take them to school on time, make sure that they're doing their homework, make sure that they are, studying, reading. It takes a parent who is doing that. And I believe that socially now and culturally now, we live in a season, an era where children do not make parents change. I see a lot of parents who, and again, it's social media. It's fake, but still, it's what they feed you. Where you see a lot of parents who are operating as if they don't have children, and that's men and women.
Yes.
And they go by the wayside. It's about who's investing deeply into those children. When we wonder why certain racial groups and ethnic groups have a different level of performance, it's not because they produce smarter kids. It's because they actually work at learning. Do we value and work at learning? I know parents who will spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for their children to play travel ball at, 6 years old. Travel ball at 6.
Yeah.
But the kid can't read. And I'm saying this because I myself am a coach. I coach Little League Soccer, have for the last 4 years. And I'm grateful that, my students work hard. They do all of that. When they do well in school, I'm just as happy for them. But when they don't, they know they owe me laps. And, I have some students who, and I'm grateful for a partnership that I have with Kumon where I'm able to say, hey, here's a student that I've identified that needs help. Boom, let's send them there. And under the Steve Perry grant, they're able to go to Kumon and able to, get a little extra tutoring. But it takes the parent to be able to identify that for me. But I'm grateful that I have a group of parents who are active and involved like that in their children's lives. I've had some players in the past where, it broke my heart, but I never saw the parent. I had one player, I only saw his mother once in 2 years. Once. Never had a conversation with her. She came to the very last game of the season, the first season he played with me. And by all accounts, he's a good kid, smart, nice kid, whatever. But there's also trouble, and I want to help, but I can't do more than what that parent is doing. And so there's a situation now where, and I remember, we just got the new superintendent. We kind of touched on it. But I thought to myself, man, that's really good for him. I'm happy for him. But I do not think anything's going to change. It's not any discredit to his hard work and what he's been able to do at the various places he's been. It's because systemically, you're not getting a better parent.
I like Mr. Cole.
I do too.
I like
I do
him
too.
a lot. Historically, the problem with the parish school board superintendent is that he's micromanaged. He or she is micromanaged by the school board.
Yeah.
And because there's dysfunction within the school board, the superintendent is not capable of doing all of the things that they would
want
like
to do. Yeah.
to do. Add to that, and I learned this a couple of years ago when I had Deidre Lannis here, when we were talking about charter schools. And he informed me that even when the parish school board votes against a charter, that the Bessie board can overrule the parish school board and place a charter school where the school board has said we don't want one. All of that is problematic for me.
Yeah.
And it's symbolic of the dysfunction that exists within the present system.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, another fear of mine, as it pertains to Mr. Cole, we're talking about, the superintendent, is that I believe he really does have a heart for the children that he serves. My fear is that based upon all of the things that you just mentioned about the school board micromanaging, things like that, my fear is that they're going to burn him out. And it is my hope that he lasts. I don't think that they're going to run him out. I just don't want him to burn out because he's trying to do so much, and because you're facing an oppositional force that's equal and opposite of what you're bringing. We're only human, and I hope that doesn't burn him out, because I do believe that he has a desire to want to serve the parish and the kids to bring out the best in them.
We've talked for almost an hour.
Have we?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking.
I'm sitting there looking at the clock over here.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be. Trust me, it's a whole lot easier than yes. No. Yes. But I did want to touch on a couple of things before.
And
we
I'll be
close
quick,
out.
I promise.
You serve as president of the Baton Rouge area
Association of Black
Journalists.
Journalists. Yeah.
Tell me about that organization and what its role is with regard to journalism in our community.
So the Baton Rouge Area Association of Black Journalists is a chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. We saw this past summer where our national organization made headlines with the panel that they had with former President Trump and at our national convention. But the role of what we're doing is to advocate and support not just journalists and black journalists telling stories, but it's also to make sure that there's accurate and fair reporting of black communities and communities of color throughout the areas that we serve. So it takes a lot of monitoring, making sure that you don't mislabel or misreport certain incidents and facts as it pertains to the black community, and making sure that there's equal representation at all levels in all forms of media, whether it's print, whether it's digital, whether it's television, radio. It is our role to make sure that these companies are operating with fair hiring practices and giving opportunities in all areas, including management, which is one area that we may not be as equally represented. So that's one of our roles. Another one of our roles is to not only support journalism, but to build up a new generation of journalists. And the way that we do that is through scholarships, which we have some great fundraisers coming. We have a bowling tournament in November. We have also a way that we use to support journalists is to give them training. So we have a media training event as well in November, in which we can give you more information about that the first week of November. And so, we're really excited about some of the things that we do with that. We also partner with both LSU and Southern with their young journalists. They have an NABJ chapter at LSU that we're very active and involved with, and we're rebuilding with the help of Southern University and their Office of Student Media with helping them restart their charter as well. So,
does BRCC have any kind of a journalism department?
They do have a media program, but it's not necessarily a journalism and mass comm program like they have at LSU and at Southern. Okay. So those are some of the ways, just the quick answer. But also too, we want to be able to make sure that we're advocating for them. Like we had a member in the past that we didn't find out until afterwards, but there was some mention about her hair, and this is prior to the Crown Act, and us being able to say we're supposed to come in and step in and protect that particular journalist and be able to say, hey, based upon this, and this, or let's say something were to happen, we're supposed to also be an advocacy wing for those for our members as well. So those are all the things that some of the things that we do, just kind of in a quick nutshell. But
when you bring these speakers in, are these conferences, talks closed, or are they open to the public?
You mean nationally or locally?
Yes. No, when you do it locally.
For our meetings?
Yeah.
So our meetings are open. We do like to keep it for members and prospective members. And some of the things that we talk about are not just about the business, and it's because we're talking about the business of it. Now, the media training is open to the public. As a matter of fact, we want to encourage you to come, even if you're not necessarily a journalist. This could be a way for you to learn more about it, because I do believe that we're reaching a new era of journalism where the everyday average person is a journalist, where you have a phone and you go live. Let's say a policeman is doing something, and I'm not trying to rail on police officers, but this is a common incident that we've seen where someone pulls out their phone, boom, you're recording, you're a journalist now. And so those are some ways that we can help you in order to understand some of the things about the law, some of the ways that you can, if you want to get into the industry, there'll be other media professionals there in all areas of media that you may be able to meet. We'll have also, too, ways for you to contact them, in which, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, hey, I may have an idea. How can I contact somebody? Well, we'll have that as well at our media training event.
How do you combat those who abuse journalistic ethics?
Personally?
I'm not a journalist, but I understand that for a reporter to verify a story, they have to have more than one source.
Typically, most like to at least get three.
So
yeah.
So if you need three sources,
three credible,
right?
Credible now.
And yet these days, anybody, you just said, anybody with a phone, considers themselves a journalist, and they're putting things up, and there's no context for anything that you're saying. How does your organization combat, or maybe combat is the wrong word, how do you respond to that growing issue? Because I see it as a growing issue.
So that's also something that we'll have at our media training event, is just for everyday citizens to understand how to filter news. That's one thing as well that we don't know how to do, is how to filter news. Just because you see a blue check doesn't necessarily mean that person is a journalist or even a real person on social media. So we'll have opportunities for them to be able to learn that. So that's one way that we're helping to raise the IQ of our citizenry. To be able to say, okay, this, and I hate to say it, this is fake news.
Right. Hi, Mr. Trump. You happy about that?
Both of us had one.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's something that we're also doing at the media training event, which we encourage you to come out. All to come out. It's not just for journalists; it's for everybody. We'll have food there too. Food.
Yeah, but y'all do it on Sunday afternoon.
No, well, that's the meeting.
That don't work for me.
I'm sorry. Our media training event is on a Saturday, so you can come on out. You can have fun and get a chance to hang out as well with some of your favorite journalists. We have some very talented journalists in BRAABJ, and we have Emmy winners, which is amazing. Like, how many times can you get next to an Emmy winner? I tell people all the time, we also have a lot of people don't know this, but the first black person to direct a major sporting event ever in America, one of the big four, lives right here in Baton Rouge.
Who's that?
Come to the meeting, we'll tell you.
Mark
Mark Grant, that's his name.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Mark very well.
Mark is the first black person in the history of American sports to direct a major sporting event. He did the Final Four twice, this past year and the year before, and he's also the director of the Masters. He's also an Emmy winner. Currently, right now, today is Thursday. Yeah, he's traveling. Sure. You know, he directs for CBS, all of the NFL sporting events. So these are people you have access to. And a lot of people don't even know. Like you said, I know Mark.
For a long time, Mark was a member of this church.
I just ran down some of his accomplishments, and you're probably like, oh, I didn't know that.
Well, Mark likes to rag me about being a Dallas Cowboys fan. So
I like to rag you about me. Don't say that out loud.
Oh, I'm very proud. Man, we're above 500 right now. We're doing all right. Right now. Yeah. Last thing I wanted to talk about is, at your core, you're a comedian.
Yes.
Do you still do comedy shows?
Absolutely, 100%.
And
all the time.
Tell me what it is about comedy that fascinates you.
Okay, so the thing that I like to say is that, and I had to grow into this. My thing is I'm a happy person. I've always been a happy person. I'm grateful that I haven't been jaded by the world. I remember one of the superlatives that I was voted in high school was most spirited, you know, always. And my senior year couldn't have been worse. Like, my mama died, you know, at the beginning of the year, you know. And so for people to still see that light that shined in me, that is, you know, something that I really hold on to and really try and work hard to protect. And even more so, I've noticed that when people don't have it. And so what I see my role as a comedian, and it's kind of a fine line that I have to walk, because on one end, we spent an hour talking about politics. You know, politicking is it's a political show, but it's a political comedy talk show.
Right.
Everything I'm saying is true. We just make fun of it.
Right.
And so I believe that I have an opportunity to, when I perform, to really just share my light with other people who may need that light. And so I see my comedy as being more than just trying to get laughs. It's more just about a feeling. And I'm not trying, you know, I remember early in my career, I wanted to be the funniest. That's subjective, you know. What's funny to one ain't funny to another.
Right.
But what I seek to be is not the funniest. What I seek to be is someone who, my purpose is more about making you feel good. It's a feeling. And so when you come to a live show, you know, I just performed in New Orleans in front of 3,000 people, you know, 2 weeks ago. When you come to a live show, or if you come to a live taping of politicking, the goal is still the same, to have you leaving feeling good. This past week at our taping, there was a young lady who was there. Her father just passed. And she said, "Hey, I saw you said come, I came, and you know what? You really made me feel good. I feel much better." And we're talking about live taping. You know, live taping, it's a lot of stuff that goes on live. We're making jokes with each other. You know, myself and Mad Game, the production company that produces politicking. Like, we're doing all of that, right? We're adjusting cameras. We're fixing stuff. They making sure that my back don't look big on camera. Shouts out to KC. And so, no, we really have a big back person. Like, their job, they know, is to flatten, make sure I don't got the big back.
All right.
So the thing is that, you know, we're doing all of this, but again, it's all about the feeling. It's the feeling of making you feel good. It's man, I can't put my fingers on it, but man, I feel good.
Yeah.
Man, thank you. You know, and so that's the thing that I seek to do, is to give that feeling at all times, not even just on stage, but just throughout my life. That is my goal.
And when and where can people watch politicking?
Politicking. We air live on television Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock, WBTR. But you can also catch the shows on the Mad Game Network on YouTube, following the airings. So I encourage you to do both. Do both. You know, you ain't just got to watch it once. Watch it 1 million times if you want to. 2 million. Tell your friends. But no, and then also too, if they want to, they can follow me At Tony King is funny. I'm Tony King is funny on everything, literally everything. And so they can follow me that way as well, and we can also keep them up to date on any live shows that we have in the area, because I do perform quite often outside of the Baton Rouge area. So
when you and Will Merrill get together, I imagine it's an interesting time.
I actually, you know what? It's not. Will is crazier. Like for me, a lot of people, you know, I don't say I'm an introvert. I just chill. I just relax. Will's a funny one, man.
He is funny.
Yeah.
And I love him and I love you, and I appreciate you taking the time to come.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Really.
Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next time.